Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Friday, November 14th, 2025, and I just have a brief report here about the whole bust-up between President Trump and the BBC. And so it was made clear that the BBC intended to influence the U.S. elections, the presidential election between President Trump and Kamala Harris. They did so by putting out a news report in which they spliced and diced video together to create the narrative that President Trump advocated for what some have called an insurrection and advocated for violence against the country he was intending to lead. So that was the narrative from the BBC. And so we see here an article from the BBC from a day ago from Noor Nanji. BBC faces fresh claim of misleading Trump edit. So it's a claim of a misleading Trump edit, and so we know that it's not a claim, it's real, it's been proven. So why continue to call it a claim? In their first paragraph, the BBC was accused of misleading edit. So it's not just simply a misleading edit. It was the attempt to influence the U.S. elections, and in a way, it's kind of similar to the Russiagate, in which the Russiagate was all about trying to create the narrative that President Trump was a Russian stooge, that he took orders from the Kremlin, that the President Putin was telling him what to do, and he was just there to carry out the wishes of President Putin. That was the Russiagate scandal that was later proven to be completely false, created by a couple of individuals in key positions in the Obama White House. So here we have another attempt to paint Trump falsely, and here we have them trying to paint him as insurrectionist and someone who advocates for violence. And of course the BBC should come out and say, yes, you caught us, we did it, we're sorry, let's move on and we'll try to have better reporting in the future, blah blah blah, kind of like what they usually say. But no, it's a claim, a misleading edit. It's an accusation. So accusations, of course, are a claim of something without having it proven. So anyway, we have here from the Washington Post the two videos back to back. The first is what the BBC edited to make it look like President Trump was encouraging in what many call the insurrection. And then there will be a second video after it, which has the original video, which shows what President Trump really said. So we'll play that so you can see those back to back. So first the BBC edit, and then second is the original. Okay, so here we go.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
So that was the BBC edit. So basically they show President Trump advocating violence.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
So the first video of the BBC edit was President Trump saying we're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to fight. And in the original video, President Trump said we're going to walk down to the Capitol video and we're going to cheer. Do those two sound the same? In the original unedited clip, does it sound like President Trump is advocating for violence? So you can see that the BBC clearly was trying to influence the U.S. election and was clearly putting out a false narrative. So anyway, then we go to the BBC homepage. You look around here and see if they're anywhere on this homepage they're actually apologizing. I mean, this should be on their front page. You don't see, but you see Epstein, you see Trump, and you see other things related to Trump. You don't see the BBC saying, "Oh, by the way, we're going to use our front page above the fold and use that space to put out a very clear apology to President Trump." So you can see they're not really sorry. I mean, it's like a thief when they get caught. Okay, you caught me, I did it, but who cares? So anyway, then we have another article here. This is from the New Republic, newrepublic.com. And this article says the BBC apologizes to Trump but refuses to pay up like he demanded. The BBC is warning Donald Trump that he doesn't have a real defamation case. So who do you think would win in court? The false narrative put out by the BBC or the original unedited clip in which President Trump never advocated for violence? So we have the BBC. It's still not, apology is just like some text they put on paper. But if they were really sorry, they would take some action. But here they're not only refusing to not take any action, but this is really just he said, she said. It's not defamation. So again, the BBC is the voice of the British government. And was the British government really trying to support Kamala Harris? So we have here an article from the Politico. And so this is, let's see if I can get the date on that. I don't have the date, but it's Trump. Maybe it's down below here. So October 18th, 2024. Trump allies rage at UK Labour help for Kamala Harris. There's more to come. So anyway, the British government had basically decided that it wanted Kamala Harris elected, and they were not only putting out false news stories, they were providing election assistance to her campaign team. So you can see that this was a intentional action on the part of the British government to get Kamala Harris elected, and really it's trying to influence the U.S. election process, something that they claimed that Russia was trying to do and never did, but now the UK was really doing it. So I think we're just starting to see the beginning of this story. I think there will be more to come, and so there will be a price to pay for the British government. If I was President Trump, I would say, well, maybe the price to pay is the Falkland Islands or Gibraltar, because, that would teach the British government never to try to insert itself into the U.S. election process. But obviously this will be a monetary settlement. I don't know how much it will be, but President Trump, I think, mentioned 1 billion. I think if you take the whole British government and you consider what its value is and you take a percentage of that, I think a billion is chump change. So, anyway, but I think that there's more to come, and we can see possibly a President Trump larger pushback on the British government and on maybe his accords. There could be a some sort of sanction or increased tariffs on their goods. Anyway, this could also be that President Trump considers that he doesn't have a lot of friends on the globe, so he may just sweep this under the rug for the moment until a later date when he can pull it back out and get that settlement. But I think it is clear that President Trump has to do something, especially for those who live in the United States and don't want foreign governments trying to influence their elections. And it was amazing how much effort was put into trying to stop Russia from influencing the U.S. elections when it didn't even actually happen. And now that the UK has actually done it, and we have proof of it, not only in their support for the Kamala Harris campaign, but also false narratives being put out. So I think for the United States, they need to do something. President Trump also needs to do something. They have tried in many ways to paint a false narrative about him, but now as president, he needs to take real action to try to stop that. And so I think we're just at the beginning of the story, and there should be more to come. So anyway, that is my report on this whole BBC Trump bust up, and it's really going to be a bust up between Trump and the British government, I think eventually, but for the moment it's just Trump BBC, and we'll see where it goes from there. So again, thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.